In 1930, one rumor about a failing bank spread through Kentucky, and by sunset, 12 banks actually fell. Fear infected the economy faster than the flu. People pulled every dollar, and trust vanished overnight. The same panic now lives in tweets and crypto crashes. Want to see how that fear still rules us? Here are the 33 dumbest money mistakes of the 1930s that still happen. 1. People heard one rumor and pulled their life savings before lunch. In 1930, one whisper in Kentucky spread faster than truth. By night, 12 banks actually failed. Not from math, from panic. People slept outside vaults, clutching bags of cash. Fear still moves faster today. One tweet can do what 1,000 rumors once did. The pattern repeats every decade. Panic sells faster than reason, and calm never trends first. 2. Families buried cash so deep, they forgot what safety really meant. They hid bills in flour jars and outhouse floors. It felt smart until inflation turned savings to dust. By 1935, half that money's value was gone. Fear made people feel protected, but protection without growth quietly erases wealth. Today, going all to cash feels brave during chaos, but costs more than any crash itself. Safety can rot too. 3. One hometown bank folded and took a whole town's future down. People trusted their local banker like family. When that bank failed, everyone fell with it. In Iowa alone, hundreds lost their savings in a single week. Now it's apps, coins, or one big bet that feels safe. The mistake never changed. Spreading risk feels dull, but losing everything in one swing feels worse. Loyalty needs limits. 4. They got insurance, but refused to believe the government meant it. In 1933, new deposit insurance made savings safe again. Still, thousands refused. They'd rather lose a loan than trust officials. Cash stayed in cupboards, while banks stood empty. The same story plays today when people skip insurance, investments, or retirement plans over control. Freedom without protection is a trick. It looks brave until the next crisis hits. 5. People shouted at bankers instead of learning how money works. By 1932, rage replaced reason. Crowds stormed banks, blaming greed instead of bad math. Few knew how loans or reserves worked. That confusion lives on in crypto collapses, app crashes, and online outrage. Blame is louder than understanding, but never more useful. Every generation repeats the same tantrum, and every one pays the same bill. 6. Gold filled their pockets, but hunger still emptied their homes. Gold felt untouchable, until people tried buying food with it. Banks froze, stores refused it, and families starved beside stacks of coins. Roosevelt banned hoarding to restart the flow. The modern echo hides in land and assets that can't feed you. Security that can't move when you need it becomes a cage, not a cushion. 7. Fear went viral before viral had a name, and it still wins. In 1932, one rumor spread through towns faster than trains. Entire counties emptied banks before noon. Today, a finance influencer can do the same damage from a phone. Fear sells, reason doesn't. It's always the first emotion to cash out and the last to leave. History keeps shouting the same warning: panic pays no one. After fear came fatigue. People stopped trusting banks and started trusting credit instead. The next mistakes weren't about panic. They were about comfort that cost too much to keep. 8. Paying for dinner, long after the meal was gone. In the 1930s, families bought groceries on installment, paying for food months after it spoiled. Some even financed flour and sugar through store credit. When jobs vanished, Debt collectors came for meals already eaten. Today, buy now, pay later makes takeout feel harmless, but the same trap hides under it. Once the food's gone, the payments still wait like ghosts. 9. Dressing rich. While owing everyone in town, during the Depression, luxury meant survival of image. Families bought fur coats and radios on credit to look unbroken. Stores thrived on pride more than cash. By 1932, unpaid bills buried hope deeper than hunger ever did. Today, cards replace ledgers, but the reflex stays. Status spending feeds the eyes and starves the future. It always has. 10. Borrowing to bet on luck that never lasts. In 1929, margin loans turned small dreams into million-dollar mirages. People borrowed $100 to gamble $1,000, and when markets fell, everything vanished overnight. Over 600,000 investors lost all equity within weeks. The same fever burns in day traders chasing screens with borrowed money. The math doesn't change. Debt built on guessing always ends in silence and unpaid interest. 11. Promising to help someone and drowning together. Instead, co-signing once meant trust, but in the 1930s, it ruined households. When one borrower defaulted, 2 families collapsed. In small towns, friendships ended with repossessions. The same story repeats through joint loans, Venmo debts, and casual guarantees. Helping someone with credit feels kind in the moment, but generosity tied to contracts becomes a chain that pulls both down. 12. Small interest rates that quietly grew into nightmares. 10% looked harmless in 1931. It sounded reasonable, fair even, until months stretched into years and unpaid balances turned to double. Families called it penny interest until pennies took the roof. Today, credit cards play the same slow game, taking dollars in silence. Compounding doesn't shout. It whispers until your math runs out and your paycheck shrinks. 13. Borrowing for appearances that cost more than pride. Families once borrowed for weddings, Christmas, and just one nice night. It made them look steady to neighbors, but broke inside their ledgers. Department stores sold illusion as survival. The echo rings today, financing vacations, phones, or decor to stay normal. But pride's bill never discounts itself. The mirror shows grace. The statement shows gravity. 14. Walking away from debt instead of talking it through. When the Depression deepened, many gave up before asking for help. They packed and vanished, leaving empty farms and unpaid notes. Some lenders forgave, others didn't. Those who negotiated survived with dignity intact. Now people still ghost creditors, skipping calls instead of asking for new terms. Silence feels easier, but conversation saves what panic destroys. The more people borrowed, the less they trusted money itself. Fear turned to oversaving, hoarding, and locking everything away. The next mistake born from too much caution. 15. They bought by the barrel until bugs ate their savings. Families once filled basements with flour, sugar, and lard. Scarcity made hoarding feel like safety, but time proved otherwise. Rats, moisture, and insects destroyed food faster than hunger ever could. By 1933, spoiled goods equaled millions in lost value across rural America. The same panic repeats in every crisis, cart after cart of supplies that no one uses. Fear spends faster than logic. Therefore, buying for comfort becomes the most expensive kind of waste. Real security comes from steady supply, not stockpiled decay. Every overfilled shelf tells the same story, caution that went too far to help. 16. They survived the crash, but forgot how to live again. When jobs returned in the mid-1930s, many still lived like it was 1932. Lights stayed dim, stoves burned half coal, and families patched clothes beyond repair. Savings grew, but life didn't. Economists called it post-recession paralysis. Even as income rose 30%, spending barely moved. Today, people repeat it after recessions, afraid to enjoy stability. Therefore, the lesson hides in balance. Recovery means more than survival. Spending carefully builds confidence again, but freezing in fear traps the future in yesterday's hardship. The Depression taught thrift, but some never learned joy could be part of rebuilding too. 17. They saved every dime and lost decades of growth. After banks failed, survivors trusted mattresses more than markets. Some buried jars for 40 years, dying with thousands hidden from inflation. The cash looked safe, but by the 1950s, it bought half what it once could. Today's version lives in checking accounts, earning near zero. Fear of loss keeps money silent. However, time rewards those who let it move. Growth hides behind patience, not perfection. Investing isn't gambling, it's participation in progress. When you save forever without purpose, the world moves while your money sleeps. The hardest truth from that era: safety without motion becomes its own kind of loss. 18, they kept everything broken, hoping someday would come back. Garages overflowed with rusted tools, cracked pots, and dead engines. Depression-era thrift turned into clutter disguised as hope. Might need it again, people said, but most never did. Economists later noted that scrap metal hoarding slowed recovery by years. Today, digital hoarders fill drives and portfolios the same way, stuck in maybe later. However, holding on to what's already failed drains space for what could grow. Repair, recycle, or release. That's how momentum returns. Therefore, backup is valuable only when it still works. Everything else is weight carried forward by fear of running empty. 19. Pride turned help into a battle. They couldn't win. Community gardens, co-ops, and WPA programs offered food and work, yet many refused. Charity kills pride, some said, even as cupboards emptied. By 1935, half of rural families declined government aid despite need. Today, people skip assistance programs or grants for the same reason, ego disguised as strength. However, independence without cooperation builds isolation, not dignity. The Depression proved survival was collective. Accepting help didn't mean weakness, it meant faith in rebuilding together. Therefore, pride that starves you isn't pride. It's stubbornness, written in hunger. 20. They guarded what they had until everyone had less. Hoarding wasn't limited to goods, it infected trust. Farmers refused to lend tools, merchants hid supplies, and neighborhoods fractured. Economists observed communities with high cooperation recovered twice as fast as those that didn't. Today, financial hoarding happens in information, keeping secrets about money while others drown in debt. However, shared knowledge multiplies stability. Therefore, collaboration acts like compound interest. Generosity pays long-term dividends that fear can't match. The more people share, the faster everyone rises, and history keeps proving it. 21. Frugality became fear, and fear became a way of life. At first, thrift saved families. Then, it consumed them. People refused holidays, cut meals, and treated joy as waste. They called it discipline. Psychologists later called it trauma. The habit lasted decades. Some depression kids never bought a new coat again. Today, hustle culture repeats that worship of suffering. Working endlessly feels noble, but living counts too. Therefore, efficiency without rest builds wealth without peace. Saving every dollar means little when the soul feels overdrawn. When saving turned to paralysis, the desperate found energy again by chasing miracles instead of math. The next mistakes were born from hope, dressed as easy money. 22, they bought gold dreams that turned out to be paper. In the early 1930s, slick talkers sold fake oil fields and gold mines through newspaper ads and telegrams. Thousands mailed savings for shares that never existed. One Texas scam in 1933 stole $5 million, equal to nearly $100 million today. The modern version hides in online pump groups, promising quick crypto riches. If the reward sounds cosmic, math will usually ruin it. 23. They trusted neighbors instead of numbers and lost both word. Spread fast when someone claimed a cousin made money on a can't-miss stock. By week's end, half the town was in, and all were broke by Friday. Those kitchen table tips drained more pockets than any banker could. Today, the same trap lives on Reddit and Discord. Friendly voices make terrible accountants. Gossip disguised as guidance bankrupts quietly. 24. They believed a telegram more than their gut. Fraudsters sent fake messages pretending to be brokers. Buy now before it's too late. Panic made people act faster than reason. By the time real confirmation came, their savings were gone. In 1932 alone, telegraph scams rose by 400%. The modern text message follows the same rule. Urgency is the enemy's weapon. Whoever rushes first usually bleeds last. 25. They bought business in a box and opened nothing. Depression ads promised easy income. Sell soap from home. Start tomorrow. Most kits arrived with cheap goods and no buyers. It was hope, shrink-wrapped. Over 50,000 fell for it by 1935. Now, online courses promise the same shortcut. Buy this system, skip the struggle. But no product replaces persistence. Success built from mail-order dreams still comes postage due. 26. They bought land where even the birds avoided landing. Real estate men sold future cities drawn on swamps and deserts. Buyers saw maps. Sellers saw suckers. Some Florida plots flooded every season. Families camped on their investment, waiting for roads that never came. Today, digital land promises the same fantasy. Whether it's sand or servers, unseen property stays worthless until someone truly lives there. 27. They believed stamped paper could buy power in Washington. Con artists forged federal letters offering exclusive government contracts. Farmers and veterans paid fees to secure them, thinking safety came with a seal. The money vanished with the salesman. In 1 year, the scams cost over $10 million nationwide. Today, fake grant approvals and business licenses copy the same trick. Real deals never arrive begging for trust. 28. They mailed their friends rich and themselves broke. Chain letters promised tenfold returns if each person mailed 10 others. By 1935, some towns banned mailboxes because of the frenzy. Millions joined, none got rich. The same illusion survives in digital pyramid schemes. It feels communal until the last link breaks. Exponential wealth always ends in silence and regret. It's a circle that closes on the desperate. After chasing fake fortunes, many finally faced the truth. Luck couldn't save them. The next mistakes came from ignoring real preparation while hoping storms would never return. 29. They built a life on one paycheck and watched it vanish. When factories cut hours in 1931, whole households fell overnight. Most families depended on a single wage earner. And when that income stopped, everything else followed: rent, food, and dignity. Over 12 million Americans stood jobless by 1932. The pattern repeats today, where one layoff erases security. Therefore, every backup skill or income acts as armor against chaos. 30. They had no cushion. When the floor gave way during the Depression, families survived until payday, and then hope ran out. Bank collapses froze savings, and there was nothing between hunger and tomorrow. Even now, most Americans can't cover $400 in emergency costs. However, safety nets aren't luxuries, they're oxygen. Saving a little regularly builds peace faster than panic ever could when the next shock hits. 31. They put all their faith in one crop, or one stock. Farmers trusted wheat until drought turned it to dust. Investors trusted railroads until the tracks stopped paying. By 1933, single asset dependence crushed millions. The modern trap looks digital, people betting entire futures on one coin or startup. Diversity works quietly but powerfully. It breaks disaster into pieces small enough to survive. Therefore, never let your fortune stand alone. 32. They waited too long to learn what the world demanded. In 1932, typewriter repairmen starved while electricians thrived. Jobs shifted, but pride stayed. Some refused retraining, calling it wasted time. However, history punished stagnation faster than failure. By 1935, new trades built new stability. The same rule runs today. Skills expire faster than machines. Keep learning before necessity teaches you the hard way. Progress never waits for comfort. 33. They forgot that neighbors could be the best insurance. Co-ops, church funds, and community clubs saved countless families in the 1930s. Neighbors pooled money, swapped meals, and shared tools to survive. Recovery started where cooperation did. But as decades passed, individual pride replaced collective strength. Today, people face crises alone, while help stands next door. Therefore, connection remains the cheapest and strongest safety plan. History leaves clues for anyone curious enough to listen. Subscribe for the next story, where forgotten depression habits quietly built resilience, and show how to protect your future before the next storm hits.